like this.
Did you have a Mad Men lunch?
I didn't. I had a salad with a can of salmon on it. Boring.
Okay, just wondering.
Will, you want to ask me about my noom?
You're nooming too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. You sent me a text recently.
Yeah.
How was your noom
2
going?
weeks.
Uh-huh.
I've gained 1 pound.
Good. I actually went up before I went down.
I'm settling in. So
yeah, I went up before I went down. I went up a couple pounds before I started to
lose. Wait, save this for the pod. Welcome to an all-new episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. This podcast explores leadership traits under stress with a special guest each week. We use a simple and accurate OAD assessment to identify key personality traits or superpowers, as well as the shadow side, kryptonite traits that appear when we're under stress. As always, we'll have some pod banter, shameless plugging, and we'll even let our guests talk for a bit. Of course, no humble brags. Welcome to the show. In 3, in 2, in 1. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode. They're all special, but this is episode 60. We celebrate all our episodes. However, the ones with the 5s and the 0s get a little extra love. This is 60. That's almost being a senior citizen if these were years. How are you, Will?
I'm good. I thought 55. Right? 55 is when you get free coffee at Hardee's or something, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't go to Hardee's, so I wouldn't know. But
here in the South,
it's pretty good. Now, I don't know why it took us 60 episodes to get Anna on. That we have to talk to our producer.
She's very busy and very important. That's why.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a producer error, but anyway.
You don't make mistakes, I don't think, do you?
Yeah. Do you have any banter, or am I carrying this as usual?
You usually carry it, but if you want to switch it up, I can try to come up with something.
My hair is just so weird looking in this light. I don't know why. It's like I'm Steve Martin white, but it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not typically, but it is certainly the lighting. You got one of those ring lights, or
No, I used to, but it burned out. I got to get a Flowbee haircut like you.
Yeah, well, it hooks right up to the vacuum. It's perfect.
Anna is wondering about her life choices. Well, we appreciate you being here. Let's get started. I'm John Lane.
I am Will Barfield.
We are
a work in progress.
Really. As always, we have a special guest. And how do we know it's special, Will?
Because the slide says so, and slides don't lie.
They do not.
Everything you see on a slide, Anna can attest to this. It's always true.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
The data is never manipulated.
Anna actually is special in a way that most of our guests aren't, is that she prepped and she watched some previous episodes.
We're in trouble then.
I know.
Well, let's be real. I watched one episode.
That's one more than Will. That's one more than Will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you teed him up for that joke.
I did. Well, introduce yourself to the future guest who's watching one episode and picked yours.
Excellent. My name is Anna McMahon. I am the VP of Sales at Service Trade. We work with high-end specialty contractors, providing an end-to-end sales and service operations solution. I've been a SaaS sales leader for about 15 years now, and I'm the mother of 3 young, very spirited children.
Very nice. And now I know what Service Trade does. So everyone's getting benefits from this. And you're newly promoted. Let's have
that's awesome. Congratulations on that. And
thank you.
For those viewers, listeners who are not as educated on software and technology as others, SaaS is an abbreviation for software as a service, not SaaS, the company in Cary that does software sales.
Good note, Will. Good note. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That is a good call out.
Thrilled to have you on, Raleigh famous Anna. Let's get into the pod. So, Will, what do we discuss? What subject matter? What broad subject matter? I'm blinking it to you.
Leadership traits under stress.
Exactly. Oh, I had a banter, and I missed it. I'm going to go back. I'm going through the rewind episodes.
Uh-huh.
And I realized we used to say leadership traits under pressure, and then somehow we just changed. And I don't know why or when.
I just do what you say. So, you changed and I just went with you.
Good to know. Anyway, Will, why don't you tell Anna where all this leadership traits come from?
So the way that we get this information, Anna, as you've experienced now, is through the OAD assessment tool. It unlocks and defines your unique superpowers and kryptonite. It's highly accurate, easy to administer. You experience that. It eliminates social desirability distortions because there is no multiple choice or better than, less than, none of that, where you got to try and figure out, well, what do they want me to say? And then it's built to the standards of leading international psychological institutions and rating agencies that are littered across the bottom of that slide. And what that tells you is you can believe in the data. It's verified scientifically.
I was on a call yesterday, Will and Anna, with a woman who is a business psychologist. So she had a degree in all this stuff, and she knew all about this stuff. And she found it credible. And I was glad because I've just been saying it for 2 years now, and now I know it's true.
Well, yes, but we could also probably believe Philip Olachowski, the COO of OAD.
That's probably true. PhD. Well, he gave us the information.
Relatively.
Okay, so then when we always do, we go through the leadership style matrix. We define who we are in OAD terms. I am a socially oriented generalist. I'm in the builder quadrant. I'm a negotiator. Will is a
technically oriented generalist in the architect quadrant, and I'm a developer.
That's right. So we have this in general. We have our generalist in common.
Yes.
So we have different communication styles, and we balance each other out. It's very nice. Anna, socially oriented builder, generalist in the builder quadrant. She is a pathfinder, fairly rare bird for us. So
yes, it is.
Yeah, we are glad to see that. And why don't we dig in a little bit? So what we do here is we just explain a little bit about how that builder pathfinder comes out. But Will likes to ask a question first.
Yes, I do. I like to ask you, Anna, how it feels to be compressed into a two-dimensional table.
I'm pretty two-dimensional, so it felt pretty natural.
I'm one-dimensional, so you're twice as good as me. But also we know that you like data and that you find these kinds of tools fascinating. So this is probably an interesting experience for you.
Great. Yeah. So we'll just break it down the way we always do. To get on the leadership style matrix, we compare your A, assertiveness, detail orientation, then E and D, and that plots that. So you read these relative traits right to left. Anna's most dominant trait is her assertiveness. I think anybody who knows Anna would agree with you. Assertiveness is what drives the generalist designation. And those folks are typically comfortable with risk, comfortable with ambiguity. They're venturesome. Oftentimes they care more that work gets done rather than how work gets done. She's a socially oriented person because her E is greater to the right of her D. She's open, she's warm and amiable. But like most Pathfinders, because this E is kind of floating down the middle a little bit, there's a technical bent to her that someone like me, a negotiator, doesn't have. So you're a bit of that mix. Your P and your A, you're urgent. Yesterday is fine for a deliverable. 2 days ago was better. And then this is our falling D, which just is really what makes you a Pathfinder. When the D is down like this, you'd be an adventurer. When it's back like this, when it's this direction, that means you're a Pathfinder, or it adds to the Pathfinder designation. And what this means is that while you are a classic generalist with task delegation and all that, if something's important to you, you're going to be on top of it. If you can delegate it away, you'll be happy to do so. So that's Anna in 2 minutes or less. And now we're going to get into some of the superpowers in kryptonite, and this is where Will has to kick in.
Yes. So Anna, anyone who takes the assessment and ends up in the same quadrant as you with the Pathfinder designation is going to see these generic superpowers as a readout. Just want to double click on one here. Is there something on this list that really speaks to you, sounds accurate, or that you've heard others comment about you, peers, leaders, direct reports?
Well, I'm in sales, so the persuasiveness is very good to see. So, um, I think probably the inspiring action towards a shared goal. I tend to. I've only worked in fast-paced, high-growth companies. Mostly as in a leadership role. And I think that's where part of my superpower is, right? We're all rowing together. Let's go, get the job done. So
how many total years in leadership now at this point across career?
Like close to 15, between 10 and 15.
Yeah, I knew it was
15 to start the show, and I was paying attention.
Yeah, but I think my assessment said that I'm not very detail oriented, so I may have added or subtracted a couple of years.
Fudged that a little bit.
Yeah,
Kryptonite, same thing, Anna. One of what leaps out here?
The attention to detail, I think, is the thing that really leapt out to me. My husband will say that I'm not very observant. I think, John, you described it in a way that makes more sense, because I shared with one of my colleagues that I wasn't very detail oriented after I took the assessment, and they were pretty surprised. But I think the difference is, if I really care about something, if something's a really high priority, then I can get really into the weeds, because I'm so focused on getting that particular, job, project, task done.
And other things around that may be not falling through the cracks, but not focused on, therefore not happening, because you're focusing on the one thing that's super important at the time.
Yeah.
That's we share that.
Now, as we shift to this segment of the show, Anna, we're going to dig in and let you talk some here. As you did your results review with John and followed up with homework, he's complimented the effort that you put into it. Talk to us through, please, these bullets, your superpowers, the readout that you got from OAD, and why you chose to put pen to paper with these things.
Like I said, I found this fascinating, right? It was very accurate. And so as I read through and I thought about what are my leadership superpowers, I do thrive under pressure. I do procrastinate, but that's typically when I get my best work. And so, again, I'm in sales, right? Every quarter is, you're starting from zero and you're running. And I guess that I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie in that sense. I do have a lot of urgency in growth and finding solutions, getting to a result. And I think you'll see this, and I'll talk more about it when we get to the kryptonites. But I've historically worked at fast-growing companies where things are always changing, always moving. We're off to the next thing. And I've historically worked with people who are first-time salespeople. And so I'm always striving to get them to the best that they can be as quickly as possible. So one of my first sales mentor used to have a saying, you sprint to good and marathon to great. And I've kind of always lived by that. I also get pretty frustrated with myself in terms of, my own growth. So if I don't feel like I'm growing, then that's not a good thing. But I think that's a superpower of mine, because, I'm always looking for a challenge. I'm always looking for that level of excitement. I do think, I forgot what trait in my assessment brought this superpower to attention, but I was actually having a conversation with a number of my colleagues not too long ago about how I'm very comfortable saying no. No, I disagree. I don't like something. And that really ties into, I think, my urgency to find solutions. I don't think that it's an effective way of time to not tell people where I stand.
And that remember I said earlier that E is kind of floating down in this way, and so it's fairly typical for a pathfinder to have that. So even though the E is dominant, you usually think of that's the way more social side, but just the way the pathfinder comes out, you definitely have that. You remember in your write up, your assessment, it says fairly analytical, and it's not maybe the greatest terminology, but that's where that comes from, because you're picking up that technical side of fairly direct communication style.
Yep. Yeah, and I am very direct.
Yeah,
she does.
You'll see it as part of my kryptonite.
In my history of working with Anna, for those who are watching, she's a former client of my services. She is not patient when it comes to delivery, and she does not want to waste a lot of time making decisions. It's either been yes, this is going to work, let's go, or no, this is not going to work, and we got to come up with something else. But we didn't meander and wander around in decision-making processes for a long time. It was usually fast.
Yes.
Did we finish? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did we do?
We had that one bullet. If you want to hit on that before we roll, considering multiple perspectives.
Oh. So as much as this was the kind of contradiction in my personality that I think this assessment really captured. I will be very direct with my opinion. I have strong opinions, but I am very open to other perspectives. I try to look at things from multiple perspectives. I think that's what creates why I'm so persuasive, because I can have a lot of empathy for the way other people look at things. So as quickly as I will say, no, I don't like something, I disagree, I'll also be pretty quick to say, oh, I was wrong. That was my fault. Because I can see the other perspective. So.
Very good. So I'm glad to charge through that. Thank you.
That was an important one. And, she does hear others. And her assertiveness can feel, if you don't know her well, like that's the end, right? Like the decision is made, not interested, but she is interested. She's just pointed with driving home her thoughts. At least in my experience, and that sounds like it's accurate with the results. Kryptonite, you pick these things. Talk us through these bullets. These meant something to you.
Yeah, I'll start with the middle two, right? Like I am very aggressive in my communication, and Will, you just nailed it. If you don't know me, a lot of times it feels like I'm talking at you versus to you, and that I'm not open to other people's opinions. It's more of I have a combative communication style. I like to argue. I like to debate. So when I say, no, I think this is, we should do X, Y, and Z, I'm expecting kind of people to be like, you're wrong, and here's why. And I will listen to that. I will take that into consideration. So a lot of times, especially when I have new team members, I will preface their interaction with me that I have an aggressive communication style. If I ask a question, why, it's not because I think you're wrong. I actually want to hear how you got to that conclusion so I can understand how you logically came to that conclusion. But it can be difficult. So I try to be very conscious of that when I'm working with people who have different communication styles than me. I can be very impatient. actually got that feedback from a rep that's been working with me for a number of years, one of my top performers. And he said, it can be difficult because he feels like I can process information very quickly and I'm quick to kind of respond. And sometimes he's still processing, he's still thinking. And I'm like, so what do you think? Come on, give me the answer. Like, you're not giving me much. And so that, I think, is one of my kryptonites. That speed and that impatience for me, both personally and professionally. I have a hard time resting. I tend to go really hard for an extended period of time, especially because I like, high pressured situations. And then I will lie in bed and watch Netflix for 2 days. And then I'm back to it. Right. I've really tried to do regular maintenance of kind of resting, taking breaks, just in my personal and professional life. But effectively resting is definitely a kryptonite of mine.
Because you won't do it.
I won't, especially with having 3 young kids, right? Yeah. Like, even if I take a day off of work, then I'm trying to catch up on all the home activities, take my kids somewhere. I try to take each of them out on their own individually because I have a lot of kids. I want them each to have their own time. But, so if I take one day off, then that's 1 kid per day. Yeah. Going to take on some activity. So I try to, it's a problem. Sometimes, you just need to sit down, you need to plan, reflect, not just react. So that is definitely a kryptonite.
You are a perpetual motion machine.
I am.
I'm watching you just on the pod. You're just moving. I
do. It's when I would cold call, I would like to dance a lot. I would be dancing and listening to music.
That's probably getting anxiety out of you, so it's not in your voice, right? Because you're...
Yeah. I don't know if I have anxiety talking to people.
Yeah.
I think I just have way too much energy sometimes.
Power.
Yeah. I have a really big problem with if I'm not under a deadline, if I don't have a lot of things going on. That's where the attention to detail is not great. I will forget things. I won't get to it. So like I said, when I do have a weekend to rest, it's usually like I almost go into hibernation mode. So it's much more productive when I'm conscious of resting and not being in high pressured situations, because I typically will have a plan. I will be calm and executing on it. And if I can do that, then I'm very, very productive.
I'm somewhat similar. If I need 30 minutes to get something done and I have all afternoon, it'll take all afternoon. If I have 30 minutes to get something done, or if I have 30 minutes on my calendar to do a 30-minute project, it will get done and it will get done well. But if it's not that deadline, it just floats.
Yep.
Anna, so you've been through this with us, and we looked at your superpowers, looked at your kryptonite, and you have said that you like these kinds of tools. You enjoy studying yourself. You've already showed some clear self-reflection in the way that you talked about how you have to communicate differently than you used to with your direct reports, so they understand, especially when they're new, how to interact with you. But as you look back at everything we studied here today, how do you utilize what you gathered in this experience with me and John and on the pod, and apply it to your leadership work in your current role, your leadership work at home, and in other aspects of your life? How can you benefit from what we went through today?
I think the biggest way that I would I would apply this is kind of exactly what you said, right? Is knowing what my kryptonites are and how to react to it, right? So if there's a lack of pressure, I don't pay attention to the details. I try to create artificial deadlines for myself to almost force me to put in, pay attention to those details.
Yeah.
And then I think the communication skills is the big.
Did we lose Anna? Will?
I'm here. She's frozen.
You hear me?
I hear every word. Yes. You hear me?
I do, but Anna's frozen for me.
I'm here.
Is Anna frozen for you?
She's frozen for me as well.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
She unfroze. You froze on us.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, we lost you. Communication skills is the last thing we heard, and then you've disappeared.
Yeah, I think the power went out.
Your light changed. Your light changed through.
Yeah, they flickered.
I think we have a great answer there.
I do have a ring light.
I think we have a great answer. I can just chop out this middle bit.
Let's see if I can.
Oh, does she hear us?
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me hardwire. I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're good.
I think you answered this question great because I'm going to cut it up anyway. I'll just chop out this little bit. And then, Will, would you just give us this break and say thanks, Anna, and then I'll flip to the who's next. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great response, Anna. I think, self-analysis and application, looking at your kryptonite and making sure that you manage people the way that you need to manage them, but that they're best managed. That's all only done through open communication, which is what this whole process is about. Now, as we roll forward, we'd love to know, since you've been through this experience with us, who's next? Is there someone you can think of in your network? Doesn't have to be someone that you work with, but anybody that you've interacted with as a leader, perhaps a mentor, that you think would enjoy this process, would come on the show with us, is a vulnerable leader willing to look at themselves?
Well, I won't call him a mentor because it would make his head too big, but I have thought about who I would recommend next, and I would recommend a gentleman named John Roasar, who I know Will has worked with. He and I started our SaaS sales careers together. We are very much like brother and sister. People have said that we are very similar, but we have very different leadership styles. And
That's great. We are doing a workshop with he and Chelsea and the gang, and I was just looking at his assessment just before the pod. He is an adventurer, so his D doesn't go down; it just goes one this way. So that's the ultimate builder is the adventure, because it's just one straight line. There's no bumps and wiggles.
Yeah, so his detail just completely falls off.
And therefore Chelsea.
Yeah.
So it is a good combination. And
so that's why people think I'm detail oriented, because I worked next to Roasar for so long.
So they're comparing you to him?
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, by comparison, you crush him on detail.
Possibly. Hi, John. I'm John Lane.
I am Will Barfield.
And we are a work in progress. Anna.
Thank you, Anna. It was awesome.
Thank you.
It was well worth the wait. Love to have you on the show.
Thanks. Sorry I was moving around so much. I don't realize I was doing that.
I didn't sit still either.
We like movement. We like energy. You brought it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Work in Progress is a podcast presentation of Slipshod Productions. Available on LinkedIn and YouTube. Executive produced and starring John Lane and Will Barfield. Talent booking, production, and editing by John Lane. Thanks for watching. See you next week.